of longtime drag racer himself, as well as a very accomplished writer and editor, a member of the drag racing media, John DiBartolomeo, lovingly known as Johnny D. This one was exceptionally hard, I think, for our team to deal with, in that we had just started to explore opportunities to work together. I have known John DiBartolomeo for a long time. He's somebody that I think everybody on this show right now would admit we looked up to. He was a guy that was known for being an incredible human.
If you worked in drag racing media, you crossed paths with him and probably worked with him in some capacity.
And just a great human being, a great father, a great racer, a business owner himself, a guy that was extremely talented as a writer, but could also race his hind end off. He could work on a car. He had an incredible technical knowledge. And I really think that's where he flexed the most throughout his career in journalism and drag racing journalism. He had a really, really, really strong technical background that I don't know is matched at this point in time. I don't know that there will be anybody that's able to deliver or bring to the table what Johnny D consistently brought to the table. His passing after a really, really rough battle with cancer, our heart goes out to his family. It's an absolute tragedy. And I was so excited. We have an article that's coming up in the very next issue of Drag Illustrated that was penned by Johnny D. We were just days away from an announcement that Johnny D was officially joining the Drag Illustrated team. Him and I, it's funny, we flirted with each other for a long time, right? Like we were a long, long time. By all accounts, and this is a real thing, we were competitors, right? I owned Drag Illustrated. I was the editor-in-chief of Drag Illustrated, and he was the editor-in-chief of Drag Racing Action, then Drag Racing Scene. And we always had not a contentious relationship. We always got along very well. And I think we both looked at the sport through a very similar lens, right? But when we would talk to one another, it would almost always come back to like, man, one of these days we'll be working together. Or one of these days we should work together. Or one of these days we should do this. And it breaks my heart that we were on the cusp of that. We had multiple articles scheduled for him to write for Drag Illustrated, bringing him on board as our resident drag racing technical expert. And he got the first one delivered to us, unfortunately, right before his passing.
Just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we've been working on that since late last year, and we're just really getting into the thick of it. And then this happens, and there's definitely going to be a void left. Like you said, the technical knowledge, the tech stories. I think that everyone has echoed that's what he brought to the table more than anything, was that the ability to write a tech article so that the average fan, the average reader could relate to it and find it interesting. And that's what we were trying to bring to our audience at Drag Illustrated. And we thought there's nobody better to do that than Johnny D. So he had on and off issues over the end of last year and the start of this year. And it was really just all kind of touch and go and staying in contact with him as far as what his health condition was and if he was going to be able to write a story. And so we didn't put the pressure on him and didn't really, push for this. But he pushed forward and got a piece done for us. And I really believe it's going to be I think it's the last thing that he wrote. And I think that it's going to be the first and last story by Johnny D that we publish in the magazine. But
which makes it worse, makes me about halfway choke up, man, because it's
an honor though to be able to print that last story. And we do have a tribute to Johnny coming in the issue that we're sending to print this week. That'll be out in the next couple of weeks.
Man, again, I just want to send our heartfelt condolences to the Bartolomeo family, all of his friends. Mike, you and I saw him at ZMAX a few weeks ago, and even knowing what he was facing, he was smiling and waving, shooting pictures, standing along the guard wall, bouncing all over the place, talking to people, doing what Johnny D was so well known for doing. So God bless him, his family. A rough